We have all dreamed about having a superpower from time to time. It's a fascinating thought to imagine we could fly or teleport from place to place. But imagine you could see into the future and observe what was going to happen long before it actually happened. This power would undoubtedly have profound implications on how you perceive and interact with the world. Would you turn into a vigilante or hero and save the everyday population from harmful scenarios? Or would you use your power as a means to become rich and only help yourself? Let's find out what life would be like if you could see things before they happened. The idea of being able to see into the future has been around for thousands of years and has gone by various names, including clairvoyance, premonition, or precognition. Many cultures have stories and legends about people who possess the ability to see the future or predict events before they occur. From ancient Greek oracles to modern-day fortune tellers, the idea of seeing things before they happen continues to capture our imagination. In recent years, there has been a growing interest in the science behind this phenomenon. Can people really see things before they happen? Is there any scientific evidence to support this theory? To begin to answer these questions, it's important to understand what we mean by seeing things before they happen. In some cases, people report having a vivid dream or vision of an event that later comes true. In other cases, people may experience a feeling of intuition or a sense that something is going to happen before it actually happens. One possible explanation for these experiences is that they are the result of unconscious processing in the brain. Our brains are constantly taking in information from our environment and processing it, even if we are not consciously aware of it. It's possible that some people are able to pick up on subtle cues in their environment that others might miss, and that this information is then processed unconsciously, which manifests as a dream or a feeling of intuition. Another possible explanation is that these experiences are the result of confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is a cognitive bias that causes people to selectively remember information that supports their beliefs or expectations, while disregarding information that contradicts them. For example, if someone has a dream that their friend is going to get into a car accident, and then their friend does get into a car accident, they might remember the dream vividly and attribute it to precognition, even if they have had many other dreams that didn't come true. There have been some scientific studies that have investigated the possibility of precognition. One of the most famous of these is the Ganzfeld experiment, which involves placing a participant in a sensory deprivation environment and asking them to describe images that are being randomly selected by a computer. Some studies have reported statistically significant results, suggesting that participants are able to accurately describe images that they have not yet seen. However, these studies have also been criticized for a number of reasons. For example, some critics argue that the statistical significance of the results may be due to chance, or that the experiments were not well controlled enough to rule out other explanations. Despite the lack of scientific data, many people would argue that nothing is impossible, and that there are various mentions of people that have the ability to see things before they have happened throughout history. Some would use the past as a means to predict the future, whereas others would go into a trance-like state to attain visions of what was to come, and a few even claim that they could do this during dreams. There have also been numerous reports of people having premonitions of major disasters, such as earthquakes or terrorist attacks, that later come true. In some cases, these premonitions are reported by multiple people, which suggests that they may be more than just random chance or coincidence. So then, an interesting question to consider is, what would you do if you could see things before they actually happened? Having the ability to see things before they happen would likely result in heightened sense of awareness and give you time to prepare for things before they occurred. You would be more attuned to subtle cues, patterns, and changes in your environment. You could avoid conflicts, dangers, make informed decisions, and take advantage of opportunities before they arise. You could also be done with the simple inconveniences of life, such as traffic jams and arguments with your spouse. Maybe you'd use the skill to ensure nothing ever goes wrong at work and enhance your career. You could also protect yourself against any bigger threats to your well-being. It's safe to assume that most people would likely use this ability to live the life they've always dreamed of. This may encompass finding a way to become rich beyond your wildest dreams. If you could see things before they happen, observing what the winning lottery numbers would be for the next large jackpot would be fairly simple. Others may turn to betting on the winning teams. Biff Tannen and the Sports Almanac, anyone? Or the stock market to invest in the most profitable companies of the future to maximize returns. It's likely that if you are a compassionate human being, you'd use the ability to help others. Thus, you may use the power as a way to ensure others stay safe from harm, for example, as a way to stop violent crimes. Maybe you'd become a vigilante and ensure people avoided certain places, people, and dangerous situations. As with all things, there, of course, would be pros and cons of being able to observe events before they actually happen. For example, you would also be able to observe the negative events that are coming to both you and your loved ones. Maybe you would see something like your child being bullied in school a few years from now, or something as deadly as your loved ones in a car crash. This skill would even allow you to foresee the deaths of your friends and family members. And if one could peek far enough into the future, one may see an eventual apocalypse that could bring an end to all life on Earth. While this is a daunting thought, the prophecy concerning the end of the world has been mentioned by many, most famously by Nostradamus, who was a French astrologer and physician in the 15th century. Nostradamus also predicted the Great Fire of London, the coming of Adolf Hitler, and JFK's assassination, to name a few. Other famous people known for their predictions were Baba Vanga, a Bulgarian mystic who was believed by some to have predicted the fall of the Twin Towers and the rise of ISIS, and Jean Dixon, an American psychic and astrologer who gained popularity for her predictions in the mid-20th century. Ultimately, the question of whether people can really see things before they happen remains an open one. While there are some possible explanations for these experiences that are consistent with our current understanding of the brain, there are also cases that are more difficult to explain away. And while there have been some scientific studies that suggest that precognition may be a real phenomenon, these studies are not without their critics. Having the ability to see things before they happen would certainly be a fascinating skill. But now we know that there are both pros and cons to having the ability to see things before they actually happen. Do you still think you'd like to have the ability? What would you do if you could see things before they happen? Would you help as many people steer clear of danger as possible? Would you use the ability to become rich? Or would you simply use it as a means to ensure you miss the traffic and avoid being late to work? Whether or not people can really see things before they happen, it's clear that the idea of precognition continues to captivate our imagination. From ancient oracles to modern-day psychics, the idea that we might be able to glimpse the future is a powerful one. And even if we never fully understand the science behind these experiences, they will likely continue to intrigue and fascinate us.